garage felt different that night. The walls were still plastered with maps, string, and newspaper clippings, but the air was heavier. Tyler sat cross-legged on the concrete floor, staring at the blurry Polaroid of the Dogman stepping into the portal. Eli was chewing the eraser off a pencil. Cody paced like he was in a locker room before a fight, and Mitch scribbled notes in his notebook. Nobody had said it yet, but they all knew. They couldn't face this alone. Tyler finally broke the silence. "We need help." "Like the cops?" Eli asked. "Forget it," Cody cut in. "They already think we're nuts." Tyler turned the photo in his hand, his voice quiet but firm. "Not adults. Someone who'll believe us. Someone we can trust." That's when the idea hit him. His cousin Jake. Jake was everything the Midnight Squad wasn't. 6'2", built like a wall, star quarterback for Marquette High, and the kind of guy who could make teachers laugh even after failing a test. Tyler remembered the way Jake used to let him throw a football around at family barbecues, never treating him like a little kid. If anyone would listen, it was Jake. The other boys weren't so sure. "Your cousin?" Mitch asked. The guy who tried to shotgun a Mountain Dew in 4 seconds and ended up puking on the coach's shoes? "Yeah," Tyler said. "But he's tough, and people follow him. Or they just laugh at his dumb jokes," Cody muttered. "Shut up," Tyler snapped. "We don't have another option." So the next afternoon, after telling their parents some half-truth about a group project, the Midnight Squad biked across town to Jake's place. He lived in a small, split-level house with his mom, who was working a night shift at the hospital. Jake was in the driveway, tossing a football with 2 of his buddies. "Hey, short stack," Jake called when he saw Tyler. "What's up? You finally ready to learn a spiral?" "Not exactly," Tyler said, gripping his handlebars. "We need to talk. It's important." The way Tyler said it, Jake stopped grinning. He waved the other 2 guys inside and motioned for the boys to follow him into the garage. It smelled like motor oil and pizza rolls. Posters of pro athletes covered the walls, along with an old weight bench stacked with plates. "Okay," Jake said, leaning against the bench. "What's this about?" Tyler held out the Polaroid. Jake took it, squinting at the blurry smear of trees and the strange light. "What is this?" "Proof," Mitch said, his voice shaking with excitement. "Proof of the Dogman, the thing that's been taking people. It came out of a portal in Deadman's Hollow. We saw it with our own eyes." Jake barked a laugh. "Dogman? You mean like werewolf crap?" "It's not a werewolf," Mitch said sharply. "Whatever," Jake said. "You're telling me this fuzzy picture means monsters are real?" "Yes," Eli blurted. "We saw them. Big, hairy claws like swords, eyes like fire. One of them walked into that glowing hole in the woods like it was nothing, and we think there's more." Jake looked at Tyler, waiting for him to crack a smile. Tyler didn't. "Look," Tyler said, steady as he could. "I know it sounds insane, but we're not making it up. People are missing. Dogs are missing. We found a dead deer ripped apart like it went through a blender. And then we saw it. 8 feet tall, right in front of us. I wouldn't come to you if I wasn't dead serious." Jake's smirk faded. He turned the Polaroid over in his hands again. "You believe this?" he asked quietly. "I don't just believe it," Tyler said. "I know it." The silence stretched. Then Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You're lucky you're my cousin. Otherwise, I'd tell you to get lost." "So you'll help us?" Tyler asked. Jake looked at the boys one by one, seeing the way their faces were pale but determined. Finally, he nodded. "Yeah, but I'm not doing this alone." That night, Jake brought 3 of his teammates to the garage. There was Chris, a wiry wide receiver who never stopped talking. Mark, a linebacker built like a fridge who didn't say much, but listened closely. And Danny, a tall, sandy-haired kid with a crooked grin who immediately ruffled Eli's hair like a big brother. "So these are the monster hunters?" Chris joked. "Cute. Got any water balloons we can use against Bigfoot?" "Shut it," Cody snapped. "Easy, Rambo," Danny said, grinning. "Let's hear 'em out." The boys laid everything on the table. The maps, the traps, the theories. Mitch explained the portal. Tyler showed the Polaroid. Cody bragged about his spear, until Jake reminded him it had already snapped in half. Eli nervously displayed his slingshot rocks dipped in hot sauce, earning a laugh from Chris. By the end of it, the football players weren't laughing anymore. "So what's the plan?" Mark finally asked. Tyler swallowed hard. "We fight back. We prove it's real. And we stop it before more people vanish." Jake exchanged a look with Danny, then nodded. "Okay, Squirt. Let's make a game plan." The Midnight Squad had just gained a varsity squad. By the next afternoon, Tyler's garage looked less like a clubhouse and more like a junkyard armory. Tools, scraps of wood, duct tape, and soda cans littered the floor. The boys explained their plan to Jake and his teammates, and for once, the football guys weren't laughing. "All right," Jake said, clapping his hands. "If we're really doing this, we need gear." Chris pointed to the Midnight Squad's pile of supplies. "That's it? Rocks and a flashlight taser? Cute, but we're gonna need more." That's when the building started. Mark grabbed 2 old broom handles from the corner and set them across his knee. With a loud crack, he snapped them in half. He jammed a steak knife onto one end and wrapped it in duct tape until it looked like a crude spear. "Kitchen's missing some knives," he muttered. "My mom's gonna kill me." Danny dug through Jake's shed and came back with a box of rusty nails. He shoved one through an old football, hammering until the point poked out the other side. He repeated the process over and over, taping the ball until it looked like some medieval weapon. He grinned. "Spiked pigskin. Betcha never thought of that, huh?" Eli's jaw dropped. "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." Chris got busy with Jake's shoulder pads. He hammered nails along the edges, then slipped them on, puffing his chest. "Dog armor, baby. Try me." Cody didn't hesitate. He swung a broom handle right at Chris's chest. Chris yelped when the nails snagged the stick and held fast. Everyone burst out laughing, even Chris, once he caught his breath. "Okay," he admitted. "That's actually sick." Meanwhile, Eli worked on his slingshot ammo. He dipped marbles and acorns into hot sauce, laying them out on a pizza box to dry. If it gets in their eyes, they're toast. To prove it, he fired one at a trash can lid Cody held up. The acorn exploded in a spicy splatter. Cody touched the mess, then rubbed his cheek without thinking. "Ah, it burns." He sprinted to the sink, while everyone roared with laughter. Mitch sketched diagrams, labeling traps with names like Operation Tripwire and Deadfall Deluxe. With Jake's help, they tied fishing line between 2 stakes and balanced a log on top of cinder blocks. Cody tested it on Jake's punching bag. When he yanked the wire, the log slammed down, sending the bag flying across the garage. They cheered like they'd just won the Super Bowl. By sunset, the garage smelled like sweat, duct tape, and victory. The weapons looked ridiculous, but they were real. Tyler looked around at the football players and his friends. For the first time, he felt like maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. The woods swallowed them by nightfall. They moved in a line, flashlights flickering, traps and weapons clutched tight. Crickets had gone quiet. Even the wind felt wrong, like the forest knew what was coming. Cody hammered a wooden stake into the dirt, stringing fishing line across the trail to a log piled with rocks. Eli crouched nearby, scattering marbles and hot sauce acorns. Mark kept his spear close, eyes darting through the trees. Danny rolled a spiked football in his palm, the nails catching moonlight. "Feels like we're waiting for kickoff," Chris whispered. "Yeah," Danny said, crouching beside Tyler. Only this time, the other team's 8 feet tall with claws. Tyler tried to laugh, but his grip tightened on the taser flashlight. Then the forest cracked. The sound was heavy, wet, like a tree splitting under a storm. The smell came next, a rank stench of rot and fur. From the shadows stepped a creature, not the dogman they had seen before. This one was hunched, its arms dragging like a gorilla's. Spikes jutted out of its back like jagged bones. Its eyes burned yellow, and when it opened its mouth, drool hissed as it hit the ground. "Holy crap," Mark whispered. "That's not regulation," Chris muttered, voice shaking. The beast sniffed the air and snapped its head toward them. "Positions," Jake hissed. Cody yanked the tripwire. The log crashed down, smacking the creature's side. It staggered, then swung its massive arm. The log splintered like toothpicks. "Now!" Tyler shouted. Eli fired a marble. It cracked against the dogman's snout. The beast howled, clawing its face. Danny stepped forward, spiked football in hand. He launched it with a perfect spiral. The ball smashed into the dogman's shoulder, nails tearing flesh. Blood sprayed. "Touchdown!" Chris screamed, though his voice broke in terror. The dogman bellowed and charged. Mark thrust his spear. The beast swiped, knocking him flat. Jake tackled it low, muscles straining, driving it sideways. For one moment, it looked like he might hold it. Then the dogman swung and hurled him into a tree. "Jake!" Tyler shouted. Danny dove in, slamming another spiked football into its chest. The nails sank deep, but the dogman only roared louder. Behind it, the air shimmered. Not a full rift, but a flicker of blue light pulsing in the trees. "Not good," Mitch muttered, snapping a Polaroid. The flash went off. The dogman reeled back, blinded. "Do it again," Cody yelled. Another flash. The creature shrieked, stumbling. Danny rammed a branch like a spear, shoving the monster backward. It toppled into the glow, and the rift swallowed it. The light snapped shut with a crack. Silence. The kids and football players stood panting, weapons raised. Mitch's Polaroid whirred, spitting out another blurry photo. Jake pushed himself up, dirt streaking his face. That was real. "Yeah," Cody said, wide-eyed. "And that wasn't even the big one." Danny clapped Eli on the back, trying to smile. "You guys did good. Real good." Then his grin faded. "But if that thing comes back with friends, we're gonna need more than spiked footballs." Tyler stared at the place the rift had been. His hands were still trembling. They hadn't killed it. They hadn't won. They had just survived. They didn't head straight for the quarry. To get there, they had to cut through the edge of Marquette, a town that looked peaceful on the surface, but wasn't anymore. The streets were quiet, houses dark, sprinklers ticking across front lawns. Porch lights glowed on empty sidewalks. If you didn't know better, it was just another summer night. But the Midnight Squad knew better. The first sign was a shredded fence near the Petersons' dairy farm. Boards splintered outward, claw marks gouged deep into the wood. A cow lowed in the distance, then went silent. The boys and football players crept past, trying not to look too long at the trail of blood leading into the trees. "Keep moving," Jake whispered. They ducked into an alley and froze. Above them, claws scraped metal. Slowly, they tilted their heads up. A dogman variant crouched on the rooftop, silhouetted against the moon. Its spine arched, long arms dangling. With one sudden motion, it crawled across the shingles like a spider. Tiles cracked under its weight, but it moved with terrifying silence. "Holy crap," Chris mouthed, eyes huge. Eli clamped both hands over his mouth so he wouldn't make a sound. They waited until it disappeared behind the roofline, then bolted to the next block. That was when they saw another one, a massive, bear-sized dogman dragging a dead cow down the middle of the street like it was nothing but a pillow. Its head swung side to side, sniffing the air. They pressed themselves against a dumpster, holding their breath as the beast lumbered past, eyes glowing like lanterns in the dark. Further down, on the water tower near the high school, another variant perched with 8 glowing eyes scattered across its face. Its long limbs clung to the steel legs as it scanned the town below, head twitching unnaturally. It was a sentry, watching. Mitch's whisper was barely audible. "They're everywhere." "Shut up," Cody hissed. They moved in silence, cutting across backyards, avoiding the pools of yellow light from street lamps. A few blocks away, a scream ripped through the night. They froze. The sound came from a stray dog, chased across the street by a smaller dogman with legs bent backwards like springs. The beast caught it mid-leap, snapping its neck before vanishing into the dark. Eli's face crumpled, tears threatening. Danny put a hand on his shoulder, steady and calm. "Don't look, just keep moving." By the time they left the last houses behind, the whole group was shaking. Marquette slept in ignorance, but monsters prowled every block. Tyler's gut twisted with guilt. No one believed them, and now the town was crawling with nightmares. Quarry Ridge loomed ahead, cliffs jagged in the moonlight. Rusted mining carts sat abandoned, and faded warning signs clung to the fences. The smell was there again. Rot, musk, garbage. They slipped into the quarry's shadowed canyon. That was when they saw it. The Alpha Dogman. It stood in the center of the quarry floor, silver fur gleaming, chest broad as a bear's, eyes glowing brighter than fire. It didn't charge. It just watched, head tilted, waiting. "What's it doing?" Cody whispered. Before anyone could answer, its mouth opened. The sound wasn't a growl. It was words, guttural syllables that slid inside their skulls. Danny's name rang in his head like a whisper. He staggered, clutching his ears. "It knows us," Mitch gasped. "It's intelligent." The air behind the Alpha rippled. The rift began to form, light pouring through the cracks of reality. Not an army this time, just an opening, waiting, humming like it was calling the Alpha home. "Don't let it go through," Jake ordered. The group surged forward. Cody swung his broom handle. Mark jabbed with what was left of his spear. Chris charged with his nailed shoulder pad. None of it slowed the Alpha. It swatted them aside like children. Danny stepped forward, both spiked footballs in hand. His grin was gone, replaced with grim resolve. "Get back," he said. "I got this." "Danny, wait," Tyler shouted. Danny hurled the first football. It spun true, nails digging into the Alpha's shoulder. The beast snarled, staggering. He launched the second one straight into its chest, sinking deep. For a moment, it actually looked hurt. The Alpha roared, lunging at him. Danny didn't run. He grabbed a broken branch from the ground and drove it like a spear into the beast's gut. The Alpha howled, claws raking across Danny's chest, but he held his ground, shoving harder. "Go!" Danny screamed at the others. "Run!" The rift's pull grew stronger, sucking at dirt and leaves. The Alpha twisted, dragging Danny with it. "Danny!" Eli screamed, lunging forward. Tyler grabbed him, holding him back. For one terrible instant, they saw Danny's face in the glow, teeth gritted, eyes wide. He reached toward them as the Alpha yanked him into the light. Then the rift snapped shut with a crack, leaving nothing but silence. The quarry was empty. The smell lingered, but the Alpha and Danny were gone. Jake fell to his knees, fists slamming the dirt. Chris swore under his breath, pacing in circles. Eli sobbed, muffled against Cody's shirt. Tyler's chest felt hollow. His cousin's best friend, the one who treated them like equals, was gone, taken into a nightmare world. Mitch gripped his notebook so hard the paper tore. His voice was a whisper, but certain. He's alive. They didn't kill him. They took him, which means we can get him back. Tyler looked at the others. His voice trembled, but his words were firm. Then we go after him. No one argued. The Midnight Squad had started out looking for missing dogs. Now, they were planning to storm another world.
If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more horror content. If you have any real cryptid encounters, or you're a horror writer wanting to share your stories, please feel free to email me in the description anytime.